Hello, and thank you for stopping by. Today, I'm working on this GE Spectra stove and oven combination. The problem with this unit is that the oven isn't heating up. I'm going to show you a couple of quick tips on how to diagnose what the issue is, and then I'm going to show you how I go about to make this repair. So let's get started. I know that we're getting power to the control, to the thermostat. And when I turn the thermostat on, we're getting power to the top heating element. Now, when you start taking this apart, this is 240 volts, you want to unplug the unit. To unplug this unit, you want to pull this drawer out, and if you take it all the way out, and in the back of this drawer, there's the power cord and a 240 plug. Or another option is to pull the whole stove out and unplug it that way. Rather than go through that, I'm going to go into the garage, then I'm going to shut the circuit breakers down that power the stove, and then I'm going to show you how to remove that element and how to check to see if that element is any good. Just got back from turning off the circuit breakers, but the safest way to do this job is to unplug it. If you're in a home where wiring was done before, you never know how these lines might cross if they were wired incorrectly. I've worked on the stove before, so I know when I turn those breakers off, there isn't any power coming to this. Now we're getting into removing this bottom element. This is a simple procedure. There's two screws back here that have to come out. I'm just using a bit driver. It's the same size as the screw that goes in there. And now this element pulls straight out, and behind it, there'll be the two wires attached to it. You can also do this repair from behind. You can pull the stove out, pull the back panel off, and then remove it that way. Which I may end up having to do anyway because the wire just pulled back in on me. Now looking at this element, physically, it looks all right. Check the bottom part. A little rust. There we go. This looks like it might be a break over here. So before you start changing parts, you want to check them, because it can be the thermostat, and there are other parts in the back that could keep this from working. So I'm going to use an ohm meter to check this element out. Set the meter to ohms, and we'll set it to 200. Now it doesn't have to be anything special, doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive. This is just a Harbor Freight meter. Before you check the coil, you want to check the meter. Okay, the meter's working, and now we'll check the coil. Connect the two ends, doesn't matter which one goes on which side, and we can see there isn't any continuity going through here. So power cannot go through this element because there's a break. I suspected this is what it was, and I ordered a new element, which I got from Amazon. I'll have the link to it down below. And if you happen to have this stove, it's out of production. And the worst part of this, years back I had to replace this element, and I couldn't find a model number or a serial number, because it was washed off from all the scrubbing over the years. But I don't know how I came about it, but I got the right element for it. This is about 8 years old, and I happened to save the bill with the model number of this element on it. So if you have an older stove, or if you even have a new one and you plan on keeping it for a few years, I strongly suggest that you write the model number and the serial number of that unit down, because when it goes out of production, it's very difficult to find the right element. Some of these elements will have a number on them, but as you can see, either from washing, chemicals used in the oven to clean it, or maybe spillage, look how this rusted up. So you can't go by the number that's on here because it won't be there. If you do see a number on here, write that down also. Anyway, that's just a suggestion. Down below in the description, I have the model number for this element, if you should happen to have the same stove. And if you don't have a multimeter, or if you want to upgrade the multimeter you have, I have a link for that down below. Just want to make a quick note. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so whatever you buy through the links that I have below, Amazon pays a small commission, and that helps me to keep this channel afloat. Just wanted to put that out there. Here's another tip. You probably ran into this before with other merchandise you bought online. When you're unpackaging your purchase, open the box as if you were going to use it again. There are times when I had to send items back because they sent the wrong item or it came broken. And just looking at this, check the size of the original element and the size of the box. It's probably all kinds of padding in there and whatnot. But open the box. As I mentioned, open the box as if you were going to use it again. So if you do have to send it back, you have your shipping container all set for you. I may have a problem over here. This was sent in that big box with no padding whatsoever. Why such a large box without padding, I have no idea. There were holes in the box, and there's holes over here that correspond with the holes in the box. Plus these two tabs that get connected, you can see how this one's bent. So I can only imagine that this must have been shifted around in there and was pushed through. And let's see. Okay. It looks to be the same. Let's match them up. Alright, they're looking the same as far as size. And we can see here, see how this is bent? This is bent. This should be straight and it's bent up. Not only that, it poked through the box. So this was very poorly packaged. I guess you get what you pay for. Locally, this part, I was quoted from a local appliance shop. They wanted $60 for this. And I believe I paid 20, I would have to check now. I think 25 for this. I don't understand the difference between them. Everything's made in China, where this is also. But the packaging of it, I mean, there's no excuse for that. They sent this massive box. They sent this massive box that they could have put a couple pieces of cardboard, a newspaper in there, or the packing peanuts, something to keep this from happening. But the coil itself doesn't look like it's cracked. There are numbers back here. The camera's not picking it up. But I'll, let's see. See if I can read them off. It's WB44T10011. 220 volts. 3,410 watts. That's on the back here. Let's see what's on this one. Nothing to read back here. It's all burnt off. Okay. I'm going to gently unbend these. And like I mentioned earlier, I have to get that wire out that's back there. So now, back into the oven. I'm going to get a needle-nose plier and see if I can pull that other wire out. If I can't get that wire out, I'm going to have to pull this whole stove out and work it from the back. I ended up having to pull the oven out anyway to get to the back of it. Quick tip, if you keep items in your bottom drawer like pots and pans, it's easier to move the stove out if you pull that oven out. It takes a lot of weight off, and I had a little soapy water on the kitchen floor to help it slide. And you want to dry it up. After all, you are working with electricity. Okay, now to the back of the stove. This is the panel that you have to remove. There's like 6 screws that hold it on. Your stove may be different. And the reason I had to come to the back was because these wires aren't that long to pull all the way through, and I didn't want to take any chances with it. Okay, I have Phyllis holding the element on the other side so I can put a little pressure on here when I push it in. I might have to change this fitting over here. I'll get a better pair of glasses. See how this one's going. You holding it, Phil? Okay. Push it towards me like, there we go. Okay, that one's on well. Okay, this one was a problem once before. Now I remember. That's why the tape was on here. I'm going to need 2 hands to get this on. I might end up snipping this off and see if I have another fitting like this in the garage and just put a new fitting on. I don't like the way this looks. But for now, I want to make sure that element works. And I got that on, and it's fairly tight. This over here, you can see where it burned up a little bit. This was a problem with the old element years back. And I don't know why they have it touching this way. Manufacturer-wise, it doesn't come with tape. I'm going to put a little tape on here. We install the cover, slide this back, turn the power back on, and see if that new element's going to work. I have the back on. I have the heating element connected on the bottom. I used a little bit of tape on the ends. It's not required. I just feel a little better with it. I have the 2 mounting screws in the back on. Now I'll push this back into place, turn those breakers on, power it up, and see how she works. All right, the stove is powered up. Let's put this on 550. Let's see if this heats up. It's hot. There's no question about it. There we go. You can start seeing it glow red. Glowing, it's burning off. I don't know why it's smoking like that. So the last one we had, did it smoke when we first did it?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
It did? The heating element smokes?
Till it burns everything off.
Okay. Well, the camera isn't picking this up, I don't believe, but there's smoke coming out of here. And it must be burning whatever oil is on there. I don't know if you're supposed to wipe these off before you put them in. But it is definitely getting hot. See it right here, the glowing red? There we go. All right. We have ignition. That's a wrap. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, or have any questions, let me know. Post your comments down below. Give it a like. Share it with someone else who may be able to use it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button. And until next time, stay safe.